So my project was on the Jefferson Cipher Wheel, some of the history of the Jefferson Cipher Wheel. It was created around the year 1790. Jefferson invented kind of his own version of it. There was already other kind of types of similar things that had been invented, but he kind of made his own. Jefferson was probably the main person in the creation of this wheel. It was used most likely to encrypt messages sent to foreign countries. Where the cipher wheel was used, Jefferson Cipher Wheel was likely used in the late 1700s to encrypt messages that were sent to European countries because a lot of the messages were opened and read and they needed to be encrypted. And variations of his cipher wheel have also been used in World War I and World War II. How the cipher wheel worked. Jefferson Cipher Wheel had 36 discs, and all the discs spun on a shaft, and every disc had an alphabet in a scrambled form, so each disc had the alphabet different than the other ones. Each disc was labeled, and you could line them all up at the 12 o'clock position to match up the letters to form your message. To encrypt a message, first you would count how many letters are in your message, and then you would pick however many letters there are. You would pick that number of discs out of 36, choose that number of random discs, and spell out your message across one row on the cipher wheel. And then after your message is spelled out, you would transfer the message onto any of the other 25 rows on the cipher wheel, and then your message would be fully encrypted. You would send the receiver the encrypted message, and you would also send them the key. And the key would be the discs that you wrote your message on. The receiver would also need an identical cipher wheel so they could decrypt the message. To decrypt the message, the receiver would need an identical cipher wheel to the one that created the message, and they would need to know the key. First, the receiver would line up all the discs used, and then they would lock the wheel so that the discs cannot spin individually, and then they would read through all the rows and look for words or phrases that were legible. Code breaking efforts for the cipher wheel. It would be quite difficult to break the code of the Jefferson Cipher Wheel. Nowadays, with the computer technology that we have, it makes it quite a bit easier because the computer can scan through and look for any patterns in the messages, but frequency analysis would probably not work the best because there's so many variations in all the alphabet on the cipher wheel. If somehow the attacker found the key, it would definitely make it way easier to break the code. Or if the attacker somehow knew what might be in the words or phrases, it would help them be able to backtrack and figure out the rest of the encrypted message. In Jefferson's time, it would have been nearly impossible to break the code without computers. Is this encryption method still relevant today? This method is not as relevant today because of all the computer technology that we have. Even with all the computers, it's still difficult, but the computers can analyze millions of combinations, and they just make it a lot less secure than it used to be. And there's my citations.